get everything in here. What's going on, guys? Just getting all set up, squared away. NVIDIA's earnings, baby. All right. Oh, yeah. Here we go, baby. Ladies and gentlemen, you better believe it. We are live. And let me tell you, if these aren't the most anticipated earnings ever, I don't know what has been. At least since we've been doing this stream, the NVIDIA live earnings has been the most essential to trading. So I'm glad you guys are here. Let me bring up NVIDIA right now. And let me get a mic check. Let me get a mic check, guys. How am I sounding? At least everything's sounding good. Doing this stream. Yeah, things are sounding a-okay. I'm glad you guys are all here. I'm glad everybody's healthy. We got the vote on the poll. Will NVIDIA start heading higher from earnings or continue lower? So far, 88% says higher, more room to grow. Nobody's thinking lower right now, and 12% of you say Elvis is still alive. Goodness gracious, Elvis. I'm all shook up. I made a little money on NVIDIA today. I just played a really simple VWAP bounce and exited very, very quickly. You can see here we have this very, very strong base that it formed that held underneath. Once we got a little bit of volume and we went out up above it, I ended up buying this bounce off that VWAP and just rode up till it created new highs. And right before the end of the day, I sold somewhere in around here. Just made a quick $81. It's no big deal. Nothing to be too proud of. And the only thing else I traded today, I got to look at, it was VRAX, V-R-A-X. I heard there was a couple of you out there that actually played VRAX too. I was out doing some landscaping work today, but when my alert showed up, I was really happy that we had that one on our watch list. So I'm glad you guys can make a few bucks too. I heard that Beef Stewie and Sweet Jolene both made a couple of bucks doing that. But we are all here for the NVIDIA earnings. Now, NVIDIA doesn't start their earnings until 5 o'clock. Of course, I do have it all signed up. I went to the NVIDIA and signed up for the second quarter FY25 financial results. I have it all set up to take place right here. We'll be allowed in here 15 minutes early. So at 4:45, we'll be allowed in here, so that way we can listen in on their earnings. Of course, I'll let that just happen so we all can pay attention, listen to what the earnings sound like, and watch this chart get to ripping or to falling. Of course, we know Mo Wealth has taken a bit of a trade on this, which guys, I never condone to anybody trading this pre-earnings. Now, if you want to trade this the next day where you can see where it's landed and you can see where the rise and the falls, where the price action actually stipulates some support or some resistance, then that would make more sense to play it. But to just look at these and say whether it's healthy or whether it's weak or whether you think it's going to go up or down, it's all a gamble when it comes to earnings, in my personal opinion. And I do not condone anyone playing this because it is truly a gamble. So with that being said, if NVIDIA does some things where it breaks out above its daily here and it wants to continue higher, this would be a great area to use as support, meaning if it breaks out higher than this and then it wants to come back down and retest this area, this 130 area is going to act as support. But currently where it's at right now, it is showing resistance. So do keep that in mind. So we have about 45 minutes. I think I'll put up a clock here. Let me just bring this up and we'll throw up 45 minutes. This will work right here. Let's write on this. We'll edit the timer, and this is for earnings call. Earnings starts at 5 p.m. Eastern. There we go. And that's about 48 minutes, so we'll just start that. And then, of course, we'll lock this in up here so everybody is aware of when these take place. Now, if you guys have any tickers that you want me to go over while we are here, just let me know in the chat. Feel free to put a ticker in there. We can take a little peeky gander at it. I know that Chewy was very popular today, but I've always remember while we're looking at these, we are here for one big thing, and that is going to be NVIDIA. NVIDIA is going to be our big play maker today, and hopefully it can head higher because, of course, the overall market will be watching this. The overall market has been moving with this as well. So we want the overall market to head higher, obviously, because the overall market is what makes us money. At least if you have a long-term investing account, a Roth IRA, or a 401k, the NVIDIA play, if it heads higher, all of those head higher as well. Because if you didn't know, NVIDIA is humongous in the overall market. If we look at our stock heat map, which of course is in our trading view, today we had a bit of a blunder. You can see the overall market is pretty well down. The only thing that did well is the financial sector. Maybe a little bit of the health technology, but overall, we've had a red day in the market. Now, with 56 minutes left to go, NVIDIA showing that it is an absolute monster in this market, right? If we click on NVIDIA, you can see it's a 3.9 trillion market cap. 3.9 trillion. That's absolutely amazing what it's done just in the past year. Okay, since January, this thing is up drastically. So it's good to see it. The thing is, there is a lot going on there. There's a lot going on there. But because it makes up most of your S&P 500, and most of your S&P 500 will dictate what happens in your long-term accounts, all eyes are on NVIDIA because it's going to help push or pull the overall market. So with that being said, all eyes are on NVIDIA today. Even if you just have a small amount, say you have a small cash amount in NVIDIA, or if you are just a fan of NVIDIA, maybe you believe in AI. Maybe you think AI is going to run. Maybe you think that NVIDIA's chips in the gaming sector, or they have just so much more to prove. Those all might be intelligible. Those all might be correct. But how many earnings calls can they outperform? That's the question. How well will they actually do? Now, as you guys can see here, NVIDIA has had quite the pullback since its all-time high up here at 140.76. It's created this slight downward trending line, but it's bounced back up after that bloody sell-off that we have in the overall market. Now it's popped up. Now it's riding a 10-day moving average. It's hard to argue that there's anything wrong with NVIDIA right now other than possibly its fundamentals. Technically, it's pretty well sound. We are in a midterm and a long-term uptrend, as you can see here. We had a bit of a pullback, but it is still in a longer-term uptrend. We had a bit of a pullback here, but this is showing a new higher low. Above a 10-day moving average and above all other moving averages, it's hard to argue with NVIDIA's strength. The strength in NVIDIA has been shown to be a great one, but earnings is going to prove to us whether it can continue higher or not. And that's why I brought up the poll here. Will NVIDIA start heading higher from earnings or continue lower? So far, 77% of you think it will head higher because there is more room to grow. But 8% of you have said that lower, the stock is overpriced. But 15% of you think Elvis is still alive. Very, very interesting. We got about 44 minutes, less than 45 minutes left until the earnings call. Mo Wealth is in here. What up, Mo Wealth? It's good to see you, brother. Afternoon squad, he says. What's going on, Beef Stewie? This is a big one. Yeah, LFG. LFG is correct, sir. Jimmy of the brightest Jimmy alive. What's going on, Jimmy? I'm glad to see that you are ready and willing. Let's do this, baby. I am pumped. I'm absolutely pumped today. I'm going to turn on a little lo-fi music for us today. Let me know if it's a little too loud for you guys. We're going to leave it about right there. And then, of course, once the earnings comes up, guys, as I'll show you right here, I signed up for it through my email right here. We have it up and ready, so that way we're not trying to stream this through anybody else's stream or anything like that. We are streaming it through this stream. and we are getting it directly from the source itself, directly from the source. And as you guys can see here, look at NVIDIA, rip tater chip. This is why earnings is a hard one to play, guys. That's why I don't condone to anybody playing before earnings, because you never know what can happen. This could go skyrocketing or it could fall dramatically. Anything could happen at earnings, and it truly is all just a gamble because nobody really knows what's going to happen. But as I said, up here is its area of resistance currently at this 130 area. Technical and a psychological round number at 130. So we're going to see what happens with NVIDIA. I really think that once it keeps getting up here, yes, it's going to head right back down. And there you can see it. As it heads up here, it just pulls right back down. These are very big fluctuations here. It's almost like the earnings calls is happening now. Look at this, people. Look at this. These are price whipsaw actions of $5 back and forth. That's why we are here right now. Let me just blow this up for you. This is absolutely crazy. Look at this huge drop here, all the way back down to the low of the day right now, down to 122.16. These are some huge whipsaw actions here right before earnings. We still have 40 minutes left and things are still getting just out of hand. Look at this whipsaw action, guys. From 122 to 128. That is absolutely nuts. Is that $6? Oh my gosh. That is crazy. $6 action right there in less than a minute, guys. Less than a minute, a $6 move in NVIDIA. We need to keep a close eye on this, guys. This is going to dictate how the overall market, and this is what I mean. If we look at NVIDIA and then we come over here and look at the SPY, look at the SPY. This is what I mean. You're going to see the same action and happening on your S&P 500 because NVIDIA is a boat in the S&P 500, okay? So we're going to keep a very close eye, obviously, on NVIDIA. We'll actually put this on the 1 minute just so we have a better understanding of what's going on. We can see it real time. I'm glad you guys are here with me. I'm glad you guys can see what I'm seeing. We would look at AIoT, but now that there's so much whipsaw action in NVIDIA, we need to leave this up right now. But I can bring up a little side action right here. We can do that right here, actually. How about that? We'll look at a few of the smaller ones, and we can do it just like this because we are techie. We are fancy out here, aren't we, gentlemen? We are some fancy. Oh, and there I go. Oh, I love it. I love it. Here we go. All right. All right, let's see if I can drag this now. All right, so we have, what are we looking at? AIoT. Let's take a little peeky gander. Yeah, AIoT. Yeah, I'm not really caring for this one as much. I know I had this on my watch list here. It still needs quite a few days, but it's working. It's working. They beat the estimate. Let me see. Is the news already out? It said that it wasn't going to happen until 5, guys. Yeah, they're not. There shouldn't be anything out on it right now. Let's just look. NVIDIA adjusted EPS 0.68 beats. Okay, there we go. Thank you. I appreciate you. So right here's the news. NVIDIA reported quarter earnings 0.68 per share, which beat the analyst consensus estimate of 64 by 6.25%. The company reported quarterly earnings sales of $30.04 billion, which beat the analyst consensus estimate of $28.68 billion by the 4.73%. This is a 122% increase over sales. 13.50 billion the same period as last year, as it heads lower. This is why I consider this a gamble, folks, because even though they beat, it's heading lower simply because it didn't beat nearly as much as they wanted to. Revenue at 454 versus the visible alpha analysis consensus of 446. So they beat by over 10 million, and it's still heading lower. Look at this. The question is, how far will it fall? And thank you for pointing that out, by the way, Timmy. Smaid, I do appreciate that. Yeah, so earnings are out. The call will be happening at 5. We are all set for the call. As the shares are starting to tumble lower, we're down to 120. I have this area marked out here. Let me just zoom out to see where we're at. Okay, we're down here at, you could consider this an area of support. I would say the biggest support area is going to be 116 as we are starting to head even lower now down to that 116. We're already down to 117. I bet Mo Wealth, congratulations Mo Wealth on your gamble. It looks like you are getting paid, my friend. We are already down to 117. Things are looking really good for you, Mo Wealth. I don't know how long you plan on holding those puts, but it is great to see you making money, brother, as we are continuing to head much, much lower. We're below all moving averages currently now. Now we're at that 116 area, 117 area. This is an area of support. This is an area of support. This area right here, if it doesn't hold this area, we could see further bleeding. That is a very scary area. I think what I'll do is I'm just going to take a very, very small, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just wait. What I'll do is I'll paper trade here. But I would just say, like, we'll take right here at this 115 area, and we'll just mark this in yellow just to kind of show you guys, instead of, sitting here sweating with you on stream. If you take something like this, just because this is an area of support, this might be a nice area to take a small trade. And let's say we were risking at 115, 116, we can risk $100, so we take 100 shares since I've already made. We'll just try and get in on this, but I'm not saying that this is going to work. So nobody take my trades. So we're in 100 shares. We actually got in right around here. We're just risking this low of the day. So if it makes it down to here, that's where we're going to exit, okay? So we're just going to see if this wants to bounce off this 116 area. And I say area simply because it is an area of support, right? And we're going to go ahead and shed 50 shares of this right now. So we're going to sell the ask right here. And there we go. We're already out. We made $100 on that trade because this area is a nice area to bounce off of. And then if this wants to come back down and stop me out for my last piece at break even or close to break even, then I'll exit the rest of it out. So there you go. Bada bing, bada boom. You'll be making money soon. This is what I mean, guys. This is why I say you need to understand support and resistance, okay? And this could come right back down. It could stop me out for where I got in, which is fine. I almost want to take another 25 shares out just while we're here on the live stream. So I'm going to sell the ask on this. There we go. We just made another $100. So we're up about $400 so far on NVIDIA today. We're up 120 on this last piece. We're going to see what happens here. If it comes all the way back down and I stop out on this $100, I'll be fine with that. If not, this 25 shares. We'll just let this 25 shares ride, okay? And this is crazy what a big bounce back, We're up $150 on this last share. We're up 430 total on this. But this is what I mean by support and resistance, guys. See this mark? I had this mark out a long time ago. Why? Because it's bounced off of it multiple times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times here, 6, 7 times as support, 8, 9 times as support, 10, 11, 12, and then it acted as resistance, another 3, 4, 5. I mean, this area at this 116 area is a humongous area for support. And what makes it support? Well, when it's above, it's support. When it's below, it's resistance. So when I see it come down and it bounce off that, a huge wick on that 1 minute, showing that there are people supporting that area, I'm okay and comfortable with taking a small share size of 100 shares, okay? And then as it comes up and it comes up quick, I'm not gonna just beg or hope, right? I made my money. I'm gonna exit a lot of this. And I did. I exited 3/4 of my shares. Now I can hold on to this last 25 shares comfortably. If it wants to come all the way back down, even if it comes back down to the low of the day, I'm still made quite a bit of money on this. So it's that simple, guys. That is support and resistance, and that's what we have going on here. Now remember, the call is coming out in 33 minutes. Excuse me for not getting the numbers out immediately. It's a good thing that we had Smaid in here to let us know that the earnings are out and they beat estimates. And you guys can see right here, things are looking really, really well for NVIDIA after that bounce, but this is still a pullback. It's still above currently its 21-day moving average. So we'll see if it wants to continue to hold this area, and we'll see what happens, because there still can be a lot of volatility with an earnings call, because we want to see what the guidance is, we want to see what the future forecast is. And if we bring up the news, we can see if there's anything going on. I just do want to keep an eye on this to make sure it doesn't get below my buy-in price of 117.75. So here we go. The QT revenue, 26.3 billion, up 16% from Q1, 154% year over year. That's absolutely amazing, guys. The revenue up 16% from Q1 and 154% from year over year. What a huge, huge beat. What a huge gainer for NVIDIA. Let's see. NVIDIA CEO says Hopper demand remains strong and the anticipation for Blackwell is incredible, he says. Very, very interesting to see there. We are starting to pull back. We're trading at 121 currently right now in the overall NVDA. We're going to see if this thing wants to continue to hold this area. What an amazing bout of volatility as we moved around over $6. Let's see, $15 to $28 was the range on those numbers on that earnings call. You can see here when the initial numbers came out, it popped up and then sold off extremely fast, extremely hard. And then we've seen a bounce off of that 115, 116 area as it came right back up almost immediately. And now it is just in an area of price discovery. So we're going to see what exactly it wants to do from here. And maybe it'll come all the way down, break me out on this last 1/4, but we'll see. I do have confidence in this supportive bull area at 115, 116. So we'll see very, very soon. We'll just blow this up. We'll maximize this sell. And then, of course, we have a few more minutes before they'll let me into the, we've signed up for your, right here for your NVIDIA second quarter, the FY25 financial results. So if you guys are very interested in the overall call that's going to take place, which could be extremely volatile as well, as they might hint into the future, into the forecast, and to what is expected of NVIDIA. And we will see very, very soon what exactly is to happen. And I'm pretty excited. I like being a part of these calls. I like streaming these calls too. It's usually some of our biggest shows on here, and I'll be glad to stream it for you. So I'm glad the whole squad can be here. Norman Compton says 50 billion stock buyback for NVIDIA. Ooh wee, nice piece of news there, Conklin. I did not see that. Let me bring that up here. Let's see, professional 54 versus visible annual. Let's see. NVIDIA says Hopper demand remains strong. Oh, there it is. Oh, thank you. NVIDIA's board of directors approved additional $50 billion in share repurchases authorization without expiration. Look at that. Very, very nice piece of news there, Conklin. That's why I love this family here, because they bring it to you fast. They bring it to you first, baby. Let's see. Board of directors approved an additional $50 billion in share repurchases without expiration. What a beautiful piece of news there. Revenue, $26.3 billion. Wow. NVIDIA sees 3Q revenue, $32.5 billion, plus or minus 2%. NVIDIA's board of directors approves. We got that. Did I miss anything? This is beautiful, guys. Things are looking good. And if you guys haven't already, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. We bring all the hottest earnings, the hottest news. Of course, we do our stock market watch list. We bring you a weekly review. We do news. We do live events. We do it all. We do live trading. Of course, guys, we have this beautiful swing trading school. It's absolutely free, and you can join our Discord. Again, absolutely free. It's pretty active. Today it was a little bit slow in there, but we're usually pretty active in there. As long as the market's hot. We stay on top of it, and we're very real people. So you're more than welcome to join the Discord if you want. It's two things that are required. Okay, first of all, it's free. Okay, but second, the two things that are required is a heart of gold and an open mind. If you have an open mind and you have a heart of gold, that's the requirements. Join up. It's absolutely free, and you are welcome to it. So take a look at my screen just really quick. Smash that like button. Let's see what we're up to, guys. We got 19 votes on the poll. We only got 7 likes with 14 watching. Go ahead and smash that like button for me right now. It's not that hard. You can do it. I promise you can do it. We have 19 votes. Will NVIDIA head higher from earnings or will continue lower? 79% say higher, 5% say lower. 16% say Elvis is still alive. We got 16 of you watching. If you enjoy this show, do me a big favor. Hit that subscribe button. We have plenty, not just NVIDIA. We go over everything. My favorite, the stock market bear bull brief. That's my new favorite thing to do. I absolutely love it. Why? Because not only do we get to see a key piece of news and see a huge catalyst in the overall, like the Warren Buffett strategies that we have seen. Look at that wick. That looks like a dark pool wick to me. Look at that big wick right here. Sometimes Thinkorswim sees this, but this could very easily be a volume anomaly, or I'm sorry, not a volume anomaly, but a candlestick anomaly, where it just comes up and it's smacked right into VWAP and sold right back off. That could be a bad sign, folks, because if this did head higher that quick, which we know it can because of the previous 1 minute, if that's what happened there, we have a big seller at 125. That is for damn sure. So let's be careful with that. But the bull bear brief, guys, the bull bear brief is definitely something that I absolutely love to be a part of. I'm so pumped that your boy Dan Bob Dan, the greatest moderator alive, has actually brought this together, the bull bear brief, and it's got me very, very excited to do these bull bear briefs, to do the editing on them and all that good stuff, because it's just fun. It's fun to read in on what other hedge funds are doing, what other analysts are thinking, and seeing if we agree, seeing if the technical patterns line up with what they're thinking, and then of course the big news. You know, if there's people just like Norman Conklin brought up, if there's a $50 billion stock buyback, we want to know about it. We want to hear about it. What does that implement? It's showing that the overall stock, the market, the corporation itself believes in itself. If the CEO and the corporation believes in itself, they're going to be buying up those shares. They're going to be buying up those stocks. It's good for the investors. It's good for the company. It's good for the people. So it's nice. That's a good piece of news. And there's plenty more, plenty more. NVIDIA beats on earnings revenue. Paul Hickley, B Spokesman Investment Group co-founder, Nicole Webb, Wealth Enhancement Group. More insights on strategy, CEO and CNBC's Seam. Moody join. Closing bell overtime to talk NVIDIA. I don't care about that. I want the news now, baby. Make it hot, make it quick, make it lickety split, baby. So yeah, she said, Jolene says, I just joined in like I'm a lagger today. Jolene, welcome. You didn't miss too much, just everything about NVIDIA. Let me just go over it with you really quick. The data center revenue is $26.3 billion. That's up 16% from Q1, or up 154% year over year. It has pulled back even on that beat. Maybe Wall Street was anticipating a bigger beat than that, but regardless, if we look at the daily where it is currently sitting, you will see, let me get rid of the news here. A little wonky here, a little whopper jawed. We're still above a 21-day moving average on NVIDIA. NVDA is still holding above a 21-day moving average. As we talked about, Jolene, it came right down and bounced off this beautiful red line right here. What is that, might you ask? Well, thank you for asking, Jolene. That is an area of support. Why is it support? Well, because it's above it, and we have hit this area so many times. You can see here, it acted as resistance, and when it was above, it acted as support. When it came down, support. When it finally breaks through, it acts as resistance. When it breaks through, what's going to happen when it comes back down to touch it? It acted as support. That's exactly why we took a trade all the way down here at 117.65, and we sold on the way up. Now only holding a very small 25 shares of this, but we made about $400, folks. $400 right here, live, right here, just for you, just using technical analysis. It's very, very simple. So if you enjoy seeing live trades and understanding how to use technical analysis to make real money, hit that like and subscribe, guys. We're teaching everybody in the Discord absolutely free how to do this too. This is no, I'm not going to ask for any money. This isn't anything that's phony or fake, okay? This is real things. And again, guys, I'm not an alert service, okay? I'm not an alert service. I have a hard enough time managing my own trades. I'm not an alert service. I don't tell you when to buy or when to sell. I teach you how to buy and I teach you how to sell, okay? I don't tell you what to buy or what to sell or when to do it. I show you how I do it so you can learn and you can be self-driven, self-taught, self-whatever, Okay, hit that like and subscribe. That's all I'm trying to say. Let's go, baby. Jolene says, oh yay, look at you all go. You're the cheerleader, Jolene. We're gonna get you some pom-poms. I shouldn't have did that on stream. Oh, somebody's gonna clip that. But here we go, we're bouncing back up. NVIDIA now trading at 123.30, and we have the NVIDIA call coming out in 22 minutes, guys. Let me just see if I can sign into this just yet. We'll see if they'll let me in. Yeah. We're gonna see if they'll let me in early. If they do, that'd be great. That'd be so great. Let's see, webcast link, because I am an attendee. Not yet. They haven't let us in yet. We got about 10 or 15 more minutes before they'll let me in. Let me in! It reminds me of that meme where the guy's like yanking on the gate. Let me in, let me in. It's a good one. But yeah, guys, we're doing very, very well on this nice bounce. Technical analysis wins again. It wins again. Let's see. How are you guys doing? How are you guys doing? Yosef, what's going on, Yosef? Good to see you, brother. Glad you could make it, man. I am until I am not. Yeah, it is what it is, as they say. It is what it is until it ain't. Here we are, a big bounce on NVIDIA, all the way back up here, getting very close to its VWAP at 125.38. It's currently trading at 124.56, so it's about $1, a little less than $1 away from bouncing from that VWAP, from its base all the way down here at 115, back up to 125. What a big bounce, big, beautiful bounce, about a $10 bounce there, guys. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful move there. We're still holding about 25 shares off of 117 after we seen that bounce. We wanted in, and we did respectfully. And of course, if it wants to pull all the way back down, I will stop out for break even on this last 1/4, but we are doing a-okay. Kevo Plapan, what's going on, dude? It's good to see you, brother. He says cafe, coffee, whatever it is. This is what I'm doing. I'm doing a kickstart. Monster sponsoring this show. I'm only teasing. I wish they were, though. I'd put a big Monster sticker on my forehead, my 5 head, and yeah, we'd go. We'd make money from it. Today, in other news, today I bought some beef jerky, one of those canned beef jerky snacks. I got my 2-year-old boy. I woke him up. Well, he was starting to wake up from his nap. I got him up and I was like, hey, buddy, if you go pee on the potty, Daddy's got a snack for you. And he did. So we rewarded him with some beef jerky. And sure enough, we sat down and it got everywhere. I was trying to teach him how to take little baby pinches. And he kept taking big scoops with his hand, big old scoops, and just smashing it into his face. And it went everywhere right after Mama cleaned everything up. But it was fun. It was a fun little treat. I was just told by Marwa, CRWD also went up. Let's take a look. So earnings was on today, and they beat both. It was a double beat. They had a 7.44% surprise on their earnings and 0.58% on their revenue. So they had a beat. Let's I wonder what are they up to? What's the price on that, Marwa? I guess I can take a little peeky gander right here. We can take a look at crowd CRWD, and then we're going to come right back to this. CRWD is up to 272.87, 272. Ooh, that's bad. Yeah, they're still way below a 200-day moving average. That's bad. That's actually, you know, if they've only went up that much, you can just tell there's something seriously wrong with CrowdStrike. So they did move up, but that's not enough. That's not enough to get anybody excited about that stock, especially because it's still below a 200-day moving average. Marwa, I appreciate you bringing that news to me very much. Thank you, thank you. CrowdStrike is up, but it's still below its 200-day moving average. It has not broke through that resistance. All eyes are on NVIDIA. And of course, in just a few minutes, we have the earnings call coming out. What happens at the earnings call? They talk about what is their issues in the overall market, what they're expecting in the future, and they bring up a lot of key points that we might want to take a little peeky gander at or stick our ears in and have a listen. I think it's very important that we do so. All right, we're gonna see if let's see if they'll let us in. Not just yet. Let's see. Yep, not yet. We'll see. Very, very soon, though. I think about 1 minute they should be letting people in. It says they let people in. Webcast is up to 15 minutes before the start time. So, and it also says we'll receive a reminder, but I'm just going to keep spamming it until we get in first, baby. That way we can join. We can be first, baby. That's what we want. First. If you're not first, you're last, right? Shake and bake, baby. And we're still just holding 25 shares of this, guys. Like I said, we've already showed 3/4 of these out. We made about, right now we're up about $381 on NVIDIA so far today. The only other thing I played today was I made about $400 on VRAX, VRAX. That had a huge bout of volume. It was on our watch list that we put out on Sunday. VRAX broke its trend line in the pre-market. I watched the volume come in on the 1 minute. When it came in and it just surpassed everything else, I got in, risked 20 cents. When it went up 5R, I got half out and brought my stop up to break even. Just exactly how we teach you how to do market open trades. And I made a quick 400 bucks. Of course, at one point I was up over 1,000, but hey, I always want that last piece. I want to let it ride. And I tried to do that. Of course, it did not work out in my favor. So we only made $400 on that, but we're making $350 on this. So it's almost a rack day, $1,000 day. We're very close to it, but we'll see. Again, this last $85 up here is for the piece, for the runner. As I was telling Dan, Bob Dan, the greatest moderator live, a little while ago, that I think from now on, at least in this market condition, I've been seeing a lot of our breakout trades run for a very short amount of time, and then what happens is they pull back very hard, very quick. So instead of taking half of my shares out from now on, I think I'm just going to take 3/4 of my shares out and then only use 1/4 of my share size to let things run. Just because of the way the market conditions are currently. Of course, I am risk on. I've been risk on, and I'm going to continue to be risk on until the S&P 500 breaks a 21-day moving average, of course. We're going to check the Q4. Here we go. Okay, let me go ahead and get some things set up really quick for us, guys. Let me see here. Give me 1 sec. Here we go. Bring this up. Okay, here is the we are up and running on this. You guys will probably hear some background music. Let me minimize this and get this all set up for you guys. We can get rid of this. So this will be starting out very, very soon, folks. This is the Q2, or the NVIDIA second quarter financial results. It's up, it's ready, it's willing, okay? We're in the lobby, but it's not starting for another 14 minutes, 13 minutes-ish. So we'll see what happens there. And of course, we're just holding on this last quarter. We're gonna see what happens with that. Let's do this. We'll do this. Oh yeah, there we go. I don't think there's live video with this, but we'll see. We'll see. I doubt there's live video. I think this is just a web. And when this happens, I will zip it. I promise I'll zip it. You guys know I like to talk. Let's see here. One thing before all of this starts. Well, we got 18 of you here. Take a look at my screen. I just want to do this really quick. This is what we call self-preservation. We're going to refresh this tab. Let's see how many likes that we got, guys. Let's just take a little peek again. We got 10 likes and 18 watching. Wake up, people. I need your help. Everything I bring for you is absolutely free. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. We bring you the best of the best. I promise you, if I could speak right, I would promise you that this is one of the best shows that you'll find on the overall stock market. I promise you that. And if you hit that like, hit that subscribe button, I promise not to let you down. We bring you the news. We bring you the data. We bring you live trading. As you've seen here today, I made over $300 right here in front of you. Okay. If you like live trading, if you like learning a strategy, and if you have an open mind and a heart of gold, you're more than welcome to join our Discord. I'll show you exactly how to get there, guys. You click on more, you scroll down and click this link tree. You see this? This is how you get to all of it. You click this YouTube, you're gonna find out that we have a whole trading school dedicated how to set up your TradingView platform, how to play base breakouts, your trend break strategy, your episodic pivots, risk management, a very popular one, our risk management. We have a few different ways here. If you're really new, what are candlestick patterns? What's the PDT rule and how to get over it? Very, very simple. And of course, we have well over 400 videos out, guys. 400 videos. You can go all the way back well over a year ago, and you can see my S&P 500 analysis, and you can see, back test me. If you don't think what I say is true, go ahead and back test me. It's that simple. I've been preaching about the S&P 500 heading higher well over 2 years ago now, and you guys can see it's been heading higher ever since. It pays to be positive, and it's not you know, I'm not acting like I got a crystal ball or like I'm some kind of guru. It's literally just technical analysis. I promise you, I practice what I preach. Price action is king. Technical analysis is king. Everything else is second. Fundamentals do work. All that works. But if price doesn't pay, then fundamentals are out the window. Of course, we have the Discord here. You can trade for you can join this for absolutely free. And click this Trading View. What is Trading View? This charting platform right here. This is what we go through. I send you guys a stock watch list every week that you can go through and choose what you like out of it. And I give you my top and you give me your top, and then we talk about it on Sundays, okay? Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. So make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe button, guys, because we have plenty for you. So thank you so much. We're up to 12. With 22 watching, I think we can do better than that, but that's A-okay. We are back at it, baby. Tuli, what's going on? It's good to see you, Tuli. Glad you made it back. Marwa says, that's so cute. Yeah, man. I tell you, raising, I got a 13-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 2-year-old. And it's so much different raising kids in your 30s rather than raising kids in your 20s. Humongous difference. Especially now that I've experienced it all once, getting to do it all over again is just such a joy because I've seen how fast it happened. Now I get to really focus and cherish on what I've got here, right now. So anyway, little tear for that one. Very sentimental. Yeah, the new ticker scan. Dan, Bob, I'm glad you brought that up. So we used to have a ticker scanner, and it was all based on relative strength, and then we would have to go through and we'd have to find the average daily range percentages on each ticker over 5%, and we would give you about 300 tickers to go through. Now we've got the list roughly between 200 and 300, so it's far less tickers to go through, and now they're all very strong stocks. They're all average daily range percentage, very fast-moving stocks. But we still have to go through the relative strength. So it's give or take with the scanner. When it comes to the scanner, which obviously, guys, is absolutely free. Everything we offer is absolutely free. When it comes to the scanner, you only get one or the other. You don't get average daily range percentage and relative strength, okay? You only get one or the other. So in this way that we use the scanner, we use the average daily range percentage. So we know what we are looking at are very fast movers, right? We want them to be at least 5% or higher. We don't want to be in these big Amazon boats where they're moving 1.5% because you're not going to make millions trading slow stocks. We want to be in fast stocks, fast tickers. So that's exactly why we do this, okay? So we find those and then we go through and then we say, hey, what's strong in this market? And this is what I came up with. Here's ASPN, which doesn't look nearly as good as it did yesterday. We have ASTL. That was a very good one. It's still looking good. Beautiful cup with a handle. You can see the average daily range is up here at 4.63%. The RS rating is right down here at 86%, so very close to 90. We have ASTS. Now look at ASTS. This is not what I wanted to see. Now, if it can hold this 21-day moving average, that would be absolutely beautiful to see. And that would make this trend line look a little bit more different here. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with ASTS. I'd love to see those rocket ships. BCRX, you can see this was on our watch list. You can see it took off. This was the base right here that we were looking for. This base right here at about $8. It did end up taking off. It came back, retested multiple times, and kept heading higher. So it looks very, very good. Jolene says, my baby. ASTS is your baby. It is your baby. We're going to keep an eye on that baby as well. Dan Bob, ADR helps those using TradingView free version. It really does. I'm glad you like the scanner, guys. Yeah, Beef Stewie. Beef Stewie sent out a ticker watch list. And that ticker watch list that he gave out, by far, Beef Stewie, no joke, your best ticker watch list that I've seen. I had to ask him, I'm like, where did you get this? He goes, off your scanner. I'm like, man, that was a hell of a ticker watch list. So ENPH, if I remember right, ENPH is a solar panel play. It does say semiconductors on here. Let's just read about it a little bit here. Enphase Energy is a global energy technology company which engages in the business and design of developing, manufacturing, and selling home energy solutions that manage energy generation, energy storage, control, and communication on the intelligent platform. It operates through the following geographical segments: United States, Netherlands, and blah, 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 blah. So just knowing where that's at, I just wanted to know what sector that was. We'll blow this up really quick. Give me 1 second, folks. One second here. Very important call. I need 1 minute. Jason, what's going on, brother? How are you doing? Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Abby, and I will be your conference operator today. At this time, I would like to welcome everyone to NVIDIA's second quarter earnings call. All lines have been placed on mute to prevent any background noise. After the speaker's remarks, there will be a question and answer session. If you would like to ask a question during that time, simply press the star key followed by the number 1 on your telephone keypad. If you would like to withdraw your question, press star 1 a second time. Thank you. And Mr. Stuart Stecker, you may begin your conference.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to NVIDIA's conference call for the second quarter of fiscal 2025. With me today from NVIDIA are Jensen Huang, President and Chief Executive Officer, and Colette Kress, Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer. I would like to remind you that our call is being webcast live on NVIDIA's Investor Relations website. The webcast will be available for replay until the conference call to discuss our financial results for the third quarter of fiscal 2025. The content of today's call is NVIDIA's property. It cannot be reproduced or transcribed without prior written consent. During this call, we may make forward-looking statements based on current expectations. These are subject to a number of risks, significant risks, and uncertainties, and our actual results may differ materially. For a discussion of factors that could affect our future financial results and business, please refer to the disclosure in today's earnings release, our most recent Forms 10-K and 10-Q, and the reports that we may file on Form 8-K with the Securities and Exchange Commission. All our statements are made as of today, August 28th, 2024, based on information currently available to us. Except as required by law, we assume no obligation to update any such statements. During this call, we will discuss non-GAAP financial measures. You can find a reconciliation of these non-GAAP financial measures to GAAP financial measures in our CFO commentary, which is posted on our website. Let me highlight an upcoming event for the financial community. We will be attending the Goldman Sachs Communacopia and Technology Conference on September 11th in San Francisco, where Jensen will participate in a keynote fireside chat. Our earnings call to discuss the results of our third quarter of fiscal 2025 is scheduled for Wednesday, November 20th, 2024. With that, let me turn the call over to Colette.
Thanks, Stuart. Q2 was another record quarter. Revenue of $30 billion was up 15% sequentially and up 122% year on year, and well above our outlook of $28 billion. Starting with data center. Data center revenue of $26.3 billion was a record, up 16% sequentially and up 154% year on year, driven by strong demand for NVIDIA Hopper GPU computing and our networking platforms. Compute revenue grew more than 2.5x. Networking revenue grew more than 2x from the last year. Cloud service providers represented roughly 45% of our data center revenue, and more than 50% stemmed from the consumer, internet, and enterprise companies. Customers continue to accelerate their Hopper architecture purchases while gearing up to adopt Blackwell. Key workloads driving our data center growth include generative AI, model training and inferencing, video, image, and text data, pre- and post-processing with CUDA and AI workloads, synthetic data generation, AI-powered recommender systems, SQL and vector database processing as well. Next-generation models will require 10 to 20 times more compute to train with significantly more data. The trend is expected to continue. Over the trailing 4 quarters, we estimate that inference drove more than 40% of our data center revenue. CSPs, consumer internet companies, and enterprises benefit from the incredible throughput and efficiency of NVIDIA's inference platform. Demand for NVIDIA is coming from frontier model makers, consumer internet services, and tens of thousands of companies and startups building generative AI applications for consumers, advertising, education, enterprise and healthcare, and robotics. Developers desire NVIDIA's rich ecosystem and availability in every cloud. CSPs appreciate the broad adoption of NVIDIA and are growing their NVIDIA capacity given the high demand. NVIDIA H200 platform began ramping in Q2, shipping to large CSPs, consumer internet, and enterprise companies. The NVIDIA H200 builds upon the strength of our Hopper architecture and offering over 40% more memory bandwidth compared to the H100. Our data center revenue in China grew sequentially in Q2 and is a significant contributor to our data center revenue. As a percentage of total data center revenue, it remains below levels seen prior to the imposition of export controls. We continue to expect the China market to be very competitive going forward. The latest round of MLPerf inference benchmarks highlighted NVIDIA's inference leadership with both NVIDIA Hopper and Blackwell platforms combining to win gold medals on all tests. At Computex, NVIDIA, with the top computer manufacturers, unveiled an array of Blackwell architecture-powered systems and NVIDIA networking for building AI factories and data centers. With the NVIDIA MGX modular reference architecture, our OEMs and ODM partners are building more than 100 Blackwell-based systems designed quickly and cost-effectively. The NVIDIA Blackwell platform brings together multiple GPU, CPU, DPU, NVLink switch, and the networking chips, systems, and NVIDIA CUDA software to power the next generation of AI across the cases, industries, and countries. The NVIDIA GB200 NVL72 system with the 5th generation NVLink enables all 72 GPUs to act as a single GPU and deliver up to 30 times faster inference for LLMs workloads and unlocking the ability to run trillion parameter models in real time. Hopper demand is strong and Blackwell is widely sampling. We executed a change to the Blackwell GPU mass to improve production yields. Blackwell production ramp is scheduled to begin in the fourth quarter and continue into fiscal year 26. In Q4, we expect to ship several $billion in Blackwell revenue. Hopper shipments are expected to increase in the second half of fiscal 2025. Hopper supply and availability have improved. Demand for Blackwell platforms is well above supply, and we expect this to continue into next year. Networking revenue increased 16% sequentially. Our Ethernet for AI revenue, which includes our Spectrum-X end-to-end Ethernet platform, doubled sequentially with hundreds of customers adopting our Ethernet offerings. Spectrum-X has broad market support from OEM and ODM partners and is being adopted by CSPs, GPU cloud providers, and enterprise, including xAI, to connect the largest GPU compute cluster in the world. Spectrum-X supercharges Ethernet for AI processing and delivers 1.6x the performance of traditional Ethernet. We plan to launch new Spectrum-X products every year to support demand for scaling compute clusters from tens of thousands of GPUs today to millions of GPUs in the near future. Spectrum-X is well on track to begin a multi-billion-dollar product line within a year. Our sovereign AI opportunities continue to expand as countries recognize AI expertise and infrastructure at national imperatives for their society and industries. Japan's National Institute of Advanced Industrial Science and Technology is building its AI Bridging Cloud Infrastructure 3.0 supercomputer with NVIDIA. We believe sovereign AI revenue will reach low double-digit billions this year. The enterprise AI wave has started. Enterprises also drove sequential revenue growth in the quarter. We are working with most of the Fortune 100 companies on AI initiatives across industries and geographies. A range of applications are fueling our growth, including AI-powered chatbots, generative AI copilots, and agents to build new monetizable business applications and enhance employee productivity. Amdocs is using NVIDIA generative AI for their smart agent, transforming the customer experience and reducing customer service costs by 30%. ServiceNow is using NVIDIA for its Now Assist offering, the fastest growing new product in the company's history. SAP is using NVIDIA to build Joule copilots. Cohesity is using NVIDIA to build their generative AI agent and lower generative AI development costs. Snowflake serves over 3 billion queries a day for over 10,000 enterprise customers, is working with NVIDIA to build copilots. And lastly, Wistron is using NVIDIA AI Omniverse to reduce end-to-end cycle times for their factories by 50%. Automotive was a key growth driver for the quarter, as every automaker developing autonomous vehicle technology is using NVIDIA in their data centers. Automotive will drive multi-billion dollars in revenue across on-prem and cloud consumption, and will grow as next generation AV models require significantly more compute. Healthcare is also on its way to being a multi-billion dollar business as AI revolutionizes medical imaging, surgical robots, patient care, electronic health record processing, and drug discovery. During the quarter, we announced a new NVIDIA AI Foundry service to supercharge generative AI for the world's enterprises with Meta's Llama 3.1 collection of models. This marks a watershed moment for enterprise AI. Companies, for the first time, can leverage the capabilities of an open source frontier level model to develop customized AI applications to encode their institutional knowledge into an AI flywheel to automate and accelerate their business. Accenture is the first to adopt the new service to build custom Llama 3.1 models for both its own use and to assist clients seeking to deploy generative AI applications. NVIDIA NIMs accelerate and simplify model deployment. Companies across healthcare, energy, financial services, retail, transportation, and telecommunications are adopting NIMs, including Aramco, Lowe's, and Uber. AT&T realized 70% cost savings and 8 times latency reduction after moving into NIMs for generative AI, call transcription, and classification. Over 150 partners are embedding NIMs across every layer of the AI ecosystem. We announced NIM Agent Blueprints, a catalog of customizable reference applications that include a full suite of software for building and deploying enterprise generative AI applications. With NIM Agent Blueprints, enterprises can refine their AI applications over time, creating a data-driven AI flywheel. The first NIM Agent Blueprints include workloads for customer service, computer-aided drug discovery, and enterprise retrieval augmented generation. Our system integrators, technology solution providers, and system builders are bringing NVIDIA NIM Agent Blueprints to enterprises. NVIDIA NIM and NIM Agent Blueprints are available through the NVIDIA AI Enterprise Software Platform, which has great momentum. We expect our software, SaaS, and support revenue to approach a $2 billion annual run rate exiting this year, with NVIDIA AI Enterprise notably contributing to growth. Moving to gaming and AI PCs. Gaming revenue of $2.88 billion increased 9% sequentially and 16% year on year. We saw sequential growth in console, notebook, and desktop revenue, and demand is strong and growing, and channel inventory remains healthy. Every PC with RTX is an AI PC. RTX PCs can deliver up to 1,300 AI TOPS, and there are now over 200 RTX AI laptops designed from leading PC manufacturers. With 600 AI-powered applications and games and an installed base of 100 million devices, RTX is set to revolutionize consumer experiences with generative AI. NVIDIA ACE, a suite of generative AI technologies, is available for RTX AI PCs. Mega Break is the first game to use NVIDIA ACE, including our small language model, Minitron 4B, optimized on device inference. The NVIDIA gaming ecosystem continues to grow. Recently added RTX and DLSS titles include Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Dune Awakening, and Dragon Age: The Veilguard. The GeForce Now library continues to expand with total catalog size of over 2,000 titles, the most content of any cloud gaming service. Moving to Pro Visualization. Revenue of $454 million was up 6% sequentially and 20% year-on-year. Demand is being driven by AI and graphic use cases, including model fine-tuning and Omniverse-related workloads. Automotive and manufacturing were among the key industry verticals driving growth this quarter. Companies are racing to digitalize workflows to drive efficiency across their operations. The world's largest electronics manufacturer, Foxconn, is using NVIDIA Omniverse to power digital twins of the physical plants that produce NVIDIA Blackwell systems. And several large global enterprises, including Mercedes-Benz, signed multi-year contracts for NVIDIA Omniverse Cloud to build industrial digital twins of factories. We announced new NVIDIA USD NIMs and connectors to open Omniverse to new industries and enable developers to incorporate generative AI copilots and agents into USD workflows, accelerating their ability to build highly accurate virtual worlds. WPP is implementing USD NIM microservices in its generative AI-enabled content creation pipeline for customers, such as the Coca-Cola Company. Moving to automotive and robotics. Revenue was $346 million, up 5% sequentially and up 37% year-on-year. Year-on-year growth was driven by the new customer ramps in self-driving platforms and increased demand for AI cockpit solutions. At the Computer Vision and Pattern Recognition Conference, NVIDIA won the Autonomous Grand Challenge in the end-to-end driving at scale category, outperforming more than 400 entries worldwide. Boston Dynamics, BYD Electronics, Figure, Intrinsic, Siemens, Skilled AI, and Teradyne Robotics are using the NVIDIA Isaac Robotics platform for autonomous robot arms, humanoids, and mobile robots. Now moving to the rest of the P&L. GAAP gross margins were 75.1% and non-GAAP gross margins were 75.7%, down sequentially due to a higher mix of new products within data center and inventory provisions for low-yielding Blackwell material. Sequentially, GAAP and non-GAAP operating expenses were up 12%, primarily reflecting higher compensation-related costs. Cash flow from operations was $14.5 billion. In Q2, we utilized cash of $7.4 billion towards shareholder returns in the form of share repurchases and cash dividends, reflecting the increase in dividend per share. Our board of directors recently approved a $50 billion share repurchase authorization to add to our remaining $7.5 billion of authorization at the end of Q2. Let me turn the outlook for the third quarter. Total revenue is expected to be $32.5 billion, plus or minus 2%. Our third quarter revenue outlook incorporates continued growth of our Hopper architecture and sampling of our Blackwell products. We expect Blackwell production ramp in Q4. GAAP and non-GAAP gross margins are expected to be 74.4%, and 75%, respectively, plus or minus 50 basis points. As our data center mix continues to shift to new products, we expect this trend to continue into the fourth quarter of fiscal 2025. For the full year, we expect gross margins to be in the mid-70% range. GAAP and non-GAAP operating expenses are expected to be approximately $4.3 billion and $3.0 billion, respectively. Full-year operating expenses are expected to grow in the mid to upper 40% range as we work on developing our next generation of products. GAAP and non-GAAP other income and expenses are expected to be about $350 million, including gains and losses from non-affiliated investments and publicly held equity securities. GAAP and non-GAAP tax rates are expected to be 17%, plus or minus 1%, excluding any discrete items. Further financial details are included in the CFO commentary and other information available on our IR website. We are now going to open the call for questions. Operator, would you please help us and poll for questions?
Make sure you hit that like and subscribe, guys. Pay attention to these questions.
And at this time, I would like to remind everyone, in order to ask a question, press star and then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. We will pause for just a moment to compile the Q&A roster. And as a reminder, we ask that you please limit yourself to one question.
3/4 of the trade on the way up. In this last quarter, if it stops here, it'll be my break even.
And your first question comes from the line of Vivek Arya with Bank of America Securities. Your line is open.
Break-even trade on the last quarter, up
Thanks
over
for taking my question.
$350.
Jensen, you mentioned in the prepared comments that there's a change in the Blackwell GPU mask. I'm curious, are there any other incremental changes in back-end packaging or anything else? And I think related, you suggested that you could ship several $billion of Blackwell in Q4 despite a change in the design. Is it because all these issues will be solved by then? Just help us size what is the overall impact of any changes in Blackwell timing, what that means to your kind of revenue profile, and how are customers reacting to it?
Yeah, thanks, Vivek. The change to the mask is complete. There were no functional changes necessary. And so we're sampling functional samples of Blackwell, Grace Blackwell, in a variety of system configurations as we speak. There are something like 100 different types of Blackwell-based systems that are built that were shown at Computext. And we're enabling our ecosystem to start sampling those. The functionality of Blackwell is as it is, and we expect to start production in Q4.
And your next question comes from the line of Toshiya Hari with Goldman Sachs. Your line is open.
Hi, thank you so much for taking the question. Jensen, I had a relatively longer-term question. As you may know, there's a pretty heated debate in the market on your customers and customers' return on investment, and what that means for the sustainability of CapEx going forward. Internally at NVIDIA, like what are you guys watching? What's on your dashboard as you try to gauge customer return and how that impacts CapEx? And then a quick follow-up maybe for Colette. I think your sovereign AI number for the full year went up maybe a couple billion. What's driving the improved outlook, and how should we think about fiscal 26? Thank you.
Thanks, Toshiya. First of all, when I said ship production in Q4, I mean shipping out. I don't mean starting to ship, but I don't mean starting production, but shipping out. On the longer term question, let's take a step back. And you've heard me say that we're going through 2 simultaneous platform transitions at the same time. The first one is transitioning from general purpose computing to accelerated computing. And the reason for that is because CPU scaling has been known to be slowing for some time. And it is slow to a crawl. And yet the amount of computing demand continues to grow quite significantly. You could maybe even estimate it to be doubling every single year. And so if we don't have a new approach, computing inflation would be driving up the cost for every company.
and it would be driving up the energy consumption of data centers around the world. In fact, you're seeing that. And so the answer is accelerated computing. We know that accelerated computing, of course, speeds up applications. It also enables you to do computing at a much larger scale, for example, scientific simulations or database processing. But what that translates directly to is lower cost and lower energy consumed. And in fact, this week, there's a blog that came out that talked about a whole bunch of new libraries that we offer. And that's really the core of the first platform transition, going from general purpose computing to accelerated computing. And it's not unusual to see someone save 90% of their computing cost. And the reason for that is, of course, you just sped up an application 50x. You would expect the computing cost to decline quite significantly. The second was enabled by accelerated computing because we drove down the cost of training large language models or training deep learning so incredibly that it is now possible to have gigantic scale models, multi-trillion parameter models, and pre-train it on just about the world's knowledge corpus, and let the model go figure out how to understand human language representation and how to codify knowledge into its neural networks and how to learn reasoning. And so which caused the generative AI revolution. Now, generative AI, taking a step back about why it is that we went so deeply into it, is because it's not just a feature, it's not just a capability, it's a fundamental new way of doing software. Instead of human-engineered algorithms, we now have data. We tell the AI, we tell the model, we tell the computer what are the expected answers.
Last
what
quarter
are
sold
what
for
are our
break-even.
previous
$281
observations
on that trade.
And then for it to figure out what the algorithm is, what's the function. It learns a universal, AI is a bit of a universal function approximator, and it learns the function. And so you could learn the function of almost anything, and anything that you have that's predictable, anything that has structure, anything that that you have previous examples of. And so now here we are with generative AI. It's a fundamental new form of computer science. It's affecting how every layer of computing is done, from CPU to GPU, from human-engineered algorithms to machine-learned algorithms, and the type of applications you could now develop and produce is fundamentally remarkable. And there are several things that are happening in generative AI. So the first thing that's happening is the frontier models are growing in quite substantial scale. And we're still all seeing the benefits of scaling. And whenever you double the size of a model, you also have to more than double the size of the data set to go train it. And so the amount of flops necessary in order to create that model goes up quadratically. And so it's not unusual, it's not unexpected to see that the next generation models could take 10, 20, 40 times more compute than last generation. So we have to continue to drive the generational performance up quite significantly so we can drive down the energy consumed and drive down the cost necessary to do it. So the first one is there are larger frontier models trained on more modalities, and surprisingly, there are more frontier model makers than last year. And so you have more on more on more. That's one of the dynamics going on in generative AI. The second is, although it's below the tip of the iceberg, what we see are ChatGPT, image generators. We see coding. We use generative AI for coding quite extensively here at NVIDIA now. We, of course, have a lot of digital designers and things like that. But those are kind of the tip of the iceberg. What's below the iceberg are the largest computing systems in the world today, which are, and you've heard me talk about this in the past, which are recommender systems moving from CPUs. It's now moving from CPUs to generative AI. So recommender systems, ad generation, custom ad generation, targeting ads at very large scale and quite hyper targeting, search and user-generated content. These are all very large-scale applications have now evolved to generative AI. Of course, the number of generative AI startups is generating tens of billions of dollars of cloud renting opportunities for our cloud partners, and sovereign AI. Countries that are now realizing that their data is their natural and national resource, and they have to use AI, build their own AI infrastructure so that they could have their own digital intelligence. Enterprise AI, as Colette mentioned earlier, is starting, and you might have seen our announcement that the world's leading IT companies are joining us to take the NVIDIA AI Enterprise platform to the world's enterprises. The companies that we're talking to, so many of them are just so incredibly excited to drive more productivity out of their company. And then general robotics. The big transformation last year as we are able to now learn physical AI from watching video and human demonstration and synthetic data generation, from reinforcement learning from systems like Omniverse. We are now able to work with just about every robotics companies now to start building general robotics. And so you can see that there's just so many different directions that generative AI is going. And so we're actually seeing the momentum of generative AI accelerating.
And Toshiya, to answer your question regarding sovereign AI and our goals in terms of growth, in terms of revenue, it certainly is a unique and growing opportunity, something that surfaced with generative AI and the desires of countries around the world to have their own generative AI that would be able to incorporate their own language, incorporate their own culture, incorporate their own data in that country. So more and more excitement around these models and what they can be specific for those countries. So yes, we are seeing some growth opportunity in front of us.
And your next question comes from the line of Joe Moore with Morgan Stanley. Your line is open.
Great, thank you. Jensen, in the press release, you talked about Blackwell anticipation being incredible, but it seems like Hopper demand is also really strong. I mean, you're guiding for a very strong quarter without Blackwell in October. So, how long do you see sort of coexisting strong demand for both? And can you talk about the transition to Blackwell? Do you see people intermixing clusters? Do you think most of the Blackwell activity is new clusters? Just some sense of what that transition looks like.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. The demand for Hopper is really strong. And it's true, the demand for Blackwell is incredible. There's a couple of reasons for that. The first reason is if you just look at the world's cloud service providers and the amount of GPU capacity they have available, it's basically none. And the reason for that is because they're either being deployed internally for accelerating their own workloads, data processing, for example. Data processing, we hardly ever talk about it because it's mundane. It's not very cool because it doesn't generate a picture or, generate words, but almost every single company in the world processes data in the background. And NVIDIA's GPUs are the only accelerators on the planet that process and accelerate data. SQL data, Pandas data science toolkits like Pandas, and the new one, Polars. These are the most popular data processing platforms in the world. And aside from CPUs, which, as I've mentioned before, really running out of steam, NVIDIA's accelerated computing is really the only way to get boosting performance out of that. And so that's number one, is the number one use case long before generative AI came along is the migration of applications one after another to accelerated computing. The second The second is, of course, the rentals. They're renting capacity to model makers, they're renting it to startup companies. And a generative AI company spends the vast majority of their invested capital into infrastructure so that they could use an AI to help them create products. And so these companies need it now. They just simply can't afford, you just raise money, they want you to put it to use now. You have processing that you have to do. You can't do it next year, you got to do it today. And so there's a fair, that's one reason. The second reason for Hopper demand right now is because of the race to the next plateau. The first person to the next plateau gets to be, gets to introduce a revolutionary level of AI. The second person who gets there is incrementally, better or about the same. And so the ability to systematically and consistently race to the next plateau and be the first one there is how you establish leadership. NVIDIA is constantly doing that, and we show that to the world in the GPUs we make and the AI factories that we make, the networking systems that we make, the SoCs we create. I mean, we want to set the pace. We want to be consistently the world's best, and that's the reason why we drive ourselves so hard. Of course, we also want to see our dreams come true, and all of the capabilities that we imagine in the future and the benefits that we can bring to society. We want to see all that come true, and so these model makers are the same. They're of course they want to be the world's best. They want to be the world's first, and although Blackwell will start shipping out in billions of dollars at the end of this year, the standing up of the capacity is still probably weeks and a month or so away. And so between now and then is a lot of generative AI market dynamic. And so everybody is just really in a hurry. It's either operational reasons that they need it. They need accelerated computing. They don't want to build any more general purpose computing infrastructure. And even Hopper, of course, H200 is state of the art. Hopper, if you have a choice between building CPU infrastructure right now for business or Hopper infrastructure for business right now, that decision is relatively clear. And so I think people are just clamoring to transition the $1 trillion of established installed infrastructure to a modern infrastructure, and Hopper is state of the art.
And your next question comes from the line of Matt Ramsey with TD Cowen. Your line is open.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. Jensen, I wanted to kind of circle back to an earlier question about the debate that investors are having about, the ROI on all of this CapEx. And hopefully this question and the distinction will make some sense. But what I'm having discussions about is with like the percentage of folks that you see that are spending all of this money and looking to sort of push the frontier towards AGI convergence and, as you just said, a new plateau in capability, and they're going to spend regardless to get to that level of capability because it opens up so many doors for the industry and for their company, versus customers that are really, really focused today on CapEx versus ROI. I don't know if that distinction makes sense. I'm just trying to get a sense of how you're seeing the priorities of people that are putting the dollars in the ground on this new technology and what their priorities are and their time frames are for that investment. Thanks.
Thanks, Matt. The people who are investing in NVIDIA infrastructure are getting returns on it right away. It's the best ROI computing infrastructure investment you can make today. And so one way to think through it, probably the easiest way to think through it is just go back to first principles. You have $1 trillion worth of general purpose computing infrastructure, and the question is, do you want to build more of that or not? And for every $1 billion worth of general purpose CPU-based infrastructure that you stand up, you probably rent it for less than $1 billion. And so because it's commoditized. There's already $1 trillion on the ground. What's the point of getting more? And so the people who are clamoring to get this infrastructure, one, when they build out Hopper-based infrastructure and soon Blackwell-based infrastructure, they start saving money. That's tremendous return on investment. And the reason why they start saving money is because data processing saves money. Data processing is probably just a giant part of it already. And so recommender systems save money, so on and so forth, okay? And so you start saving money. The second thing is everything you stand up are going to get rented because so many companies are being founded to create generative AI. And so your capacity gets rented right away. And the return on investment of that is really good. And then the third reason is your own business. You want to either create the next frontier yourself or your own internet services benefit from a next generation ad system or a next generation recommender system or a next generation search system. So for your own services, for your own stores, for your own user generated content, social media platforms, for your own services, generative AI is also a fast ROI. And so there's a lot of ways you could think through it, but at the core, it's because it is the best computing infrastructure you could put in the ground today. The world of general purpose computing is shifting to accelerated computing. The world of human engineered software is moving to generative AI software. If you were to build infrastructure to modernize your cloud and your data centers, build it with accelerated computing NVIDIA. That's the best way to do it.
And your next question comes from the line of Timothy Arcuri with UBS. Your line is open.
Thanks a lot. I had a question on the shape of the revenue growth, both near and longer term. I know, Colette, you did increase OpEx for the year, and if I look at the increase in your purchase commitments and your supply obligations, that's also quite bullish. On the other hand, there's some school of thought that not that many customers really seem ready for liquid cooling, and I do recognize that some of these racks can be air cooled. But Jensen, is that something to consider, sort of on the shape of how Blackwell is going to ramp? And then I guess when you look beyond next year, which is obviously going to be a great year, and you look into 26, do you worry about any other gating factors like, say, the power supply chain, or at some point models start to get smaller? I'm just wondering if you can speak to that. Thanks.
I'm going to work backwards. I really appreciate the question, Tim. So remember, the world is moving from general purpose computing to accelerated computing. And the world builds about $1 trillion worth of data centers. $1 trillion worth of data centers in a few years will be all accelerated computing. In the past, no GPUs are in data centers, just CPUs. In the future, every single data center will have GPUs. And the reason for that is very clear, because we need to accelerate workloads so that we can continue to be sustainable, continue to drive down the cost of computing, so that when we do more computing, we don't experience computing inflation. Second, we need GPUs for a new computing model called generative AI that we can all acknowledge is going to be quite transformative to the future of computing. And so I think working backwards, the way to think about that is the next $1 trillion of the world's infrastructure will clearly be different than the last trillion, and it'll be vastly accelerated. With respect to the shape of our ramp, we offer multiple configurations of Blackwell. Blackwell comes in either a Blackwell Classic, if you will, that uses the HGX form factor that we pioneered with Volta, and I think it was Volta. And so we've been shipping the HGX form factor for some time. It is air cooled. The Grace Blackwell is liquid cooled. However, the number of data centers that want to go liquid cooled is quite significant. And the reason for that is because we can, in a liquid cooled data center, in any data center, power limited data center, whatever size data center you choose, you could install and deploy anywhere from 3 to 5 times the AI throughput compared to the past. And so liquid cooling is cheaper. Liquid cooling, our TCO is better, and liquid cooling allows you to have the benefit of this capability we call NVLink, which allows us to expand it to 72 Grace Blackwell packages, which has essentially 144 GPUs. And so imagine 144 GPUs connected in NVLink, and that we're increasingly showing you the benefits of that. And the next click is obviously very low latency, very high throughput, large language model inference. And the large NVLink domain is going to be a game changer for that. And so I think people are very comfortable deploying both. And so almost every CSP we're working with are deploying some of both. And so I'm pretty confident that we'll ramp it up just fine. Your second question out of the third is that looking forward, next year is going to be a great year. We expect to grow our data center business quite significantly next year. Blackwell is going to be a complete game changer for the industry, and Blackwell is going to carry into the following year. And as I mentioned earlier, working backwards from first principles, remember that computing is going through 2 platform transitions at the same time, and that's just really, really important to keep your head on, your mind focused on, which is general purpose computing is shifting to accelerated computing, and human engineered software is going to transition to generative AI or artificial intelligence learned software. Okay.
And your next question comes from the line of Stacy Raskin with Bernstein Research. Your line is open.
Hi, guys. Thanks for taking my questions. I have 2 short questions for Colette. The first, several $1 billion of Blackwell revenue in Q4. Is that additive? You said you expected Hopper demand to strengthen in the second half. Does that mean Hopper strengthens Q3 to Q4 as well on top of Blackwell adding several $1 billion? And the second question on gross margins, if I have mid-70s for the year, depending on where I want to draw that, if I have 75 for the year, I'd be something like 71 to 72 for Q4, somewhere in that range. Is that the kind of exit rate for gross margins that you're expecting? And how should we think about the drivers of gross margin evolution into next year as Blackwell ramps? And I mean, hopefully, I guess the yields and the inventory reserves and everything come up.
Yes, so Stacey, let's first take your question that you had about Hopper and Blackwell. So we believe our Hopper will continue to grow into the second half. We have many new products for Hopper, our existing products for Hopper, that we believe will start continuing to ramp in the next quarters, including our Q3 and those new products moving to Q4. So let's say Hopper therefore versus H1 is a growth opportunity for that. Additionally, we have the Blackwell on top of that, and the Blackwell starting of ramping in Q4. So hope that helps you on those 2 pieces. Your second piece is in terms of on our gross margin. We provided gross margin for our Q3. We provided our gross margin on a non-GAAP at about 75. We'll work with all the different transitions that we're going through, but we do believe we can do that 75 in Q3. We provided that we're still on track for the full year, also in the mid-70s or approximately the 75. So we're going to see some slight difference possibly in Q4, again, with our transitions and the different cost structures that we have on our new product introductions. However, I'm not in the same number that you are there. We don't have exactly guidance, but I do believe you're lower than where we are.
And your next question comes from the line of Ben Reitzes with Melius. Your line is open.
Yeah, hey, thanks a lot for the question, Jensen and Colette. I wanted to ask about the geographies. There was the 10Q that came out, and the United States was down sequentially, while several Asian geographies were up a lot sequentially. Just wondering what the dynamics are there. And obviously China did very well. You mentioned it in your remarks. What are the puts and takes? And then I just wanted to clarify from Stacy's question if that means the sequential overall revenue growth rates for the company accelerate in the fourth quarter, given all those favorable revenue dynamics. Thanks.
Let me talk about a bit in terms of our disclosure in terms of the 10Q, a required disclosure in a choice of geographies. Very challenging
NVIDIA at
sometimes to
117,
create that
currently trading at
right disclosure as we
$117.
have to come up with one key piece. Pieces in terms of who we sell to and or specifically who we invoice to. And so what you're seeing in terms of there is who we invoice. That's not necessarily where the product will eventually be and where it may even travel to the end customer. These are just moving to our OEMs, our ODMs, and our system integrators for the most part across our product portfolio. So what you're seeing there is sometimes just a swift shift in terms of who they are using to complete their full configuration before those things are going into the data center, going into notebooks and those pieces of it. And that shift happens from time to time. But yes, our China number there, our invoicing to China, keep in mind that is incorporating both gaming, also data center, also automotive in those numbers that we have. Going back to your statement in regarding gross margin and also what we're seeing in terms of what we're looking at for Hopper and Blackwell in terms of revenue. Hopper will continue to grow in the second half. Will continue to grow from what we are currently seeing. During determining that exact mix in each Q3 and Q4, we don't have here. We are not here to guide yet in terms of Q4. But we do see right now the demand expectations. We do see the visibility that will be a growth opportunity in Q4. On top of that, we will have our Blackwell architecture.
And your next question comes from the line of CJ Muse with Cantor Fitzgerald. Your line is open.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you for taking the question. You've embarked on a remarkable annual product cadence with challenges only likely becoming more and more given rising complexity.
We're back at that
complexity in a
technical
radical
area
limit,
of
advanced packaged
support.
world. So curious,
Let's see
if you take a
if
step back, how does
NVIDIA
this
can
backdrop alter your thinking around potentially greater vertical integration, supply chain partnerships, and then thinking through consequential impact to your margin profile? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Let's see. I think the answer to your first question is that the reason why our velocity is so high is simultaneously because the complexity of the model is growing, and we want to continue to drive its cost down. It's growing, so we want to continue to increase its scale. And we believe that by continuing to scale the AI models, that will reach a level of extraordinary usefulness, and that it would open up, realize the next industrial revolution. We believe it, and so we're going to drive ourselves really hard to continue to go up that scale. We have the ability, fairly uniquely, to integrate to design an AI factory because we have all the parts. It's not possible to come up with a new AI factory every year unless you have all the parts. And so we have next year, we're going to ship a lot more CPUs than we've ever had in the history of our company. More GPUs, of course, but also NVLink switches, CX DPUs, ConnectX CPU for East and West, Bluefield DPUs for North and South, and data and storage processing, to InfiniBand for supercomputing centers, to Ethernet, which is a brand new product for us, which is well on its way to becoming a multi-billion-dollar business to bring AI to Ethernet. And so the fact that we could build, we have access to all of this. We have one architectural stack, as you know, it allows us to introduce new capabilities to the market, as we complete it. Otherwise, what happens is you ship these parts, you go find customers to sell it to, and then somebody's got to build up an AI factory. And the AI factory's got a mountain of software. And so it's not about who integrates it. We love the fact that our supply chain is disintegrated in the sense that we could service, Quanta, Foxconn, HP, Dell, Lenovo, Supermicro. We used to be able to service ZT. They were recently purchased, and so on and so forth. And so the number of ecosystem partners that we have, Gigabyte, ASUS, the number of ecosystem partners that we have, that allows them to take our architecture, which all works, but integrated in a bespoke way into all of the world's cloud service providers, enterprise data centers. The scale and reach necessary from our ODMs and our integrator supply chain is vast and gigantic because the world is huge. And so that part we don't want to do, and we're not good at doing. And but we know how to design the AI infrastructure, provide it the way that customers will like it, and lets the ecosystem integrate it. So anyways, that's the reason why.
And your final question comes from the line of Aaron Rakers with Wells Fargo. Your line is open.
Yes, thanks for taking the question. I wanted to go back into the Blackwell product cycle. One of the questions that we tend to get asked is how you see the rack scale system mix dynamic as you think about leveraging NVLink, you think about GB, NVL72, and how that go-to-market, dynamic looks, as far as the Blackwell product cycle. I guess, put distinctly, how do you see that mix of rack scale systems as we start to think about the Blackwell cycle playing out?
Yeah, Aaron, thanks. The Blackwell rack system, it's designed and architected as a rack, but it's sold in disaggregated system components. We don't sell the whole rack. And the reason for that is because everybody's rack's a little different, surprisingly. Some of them are OCP standards, some of them are not, some of them are enterprise. And the power limits for everybody could be a little different. Choice of CDUs, the choice of power bus bars, the configuration and integration into people's data centers, all different. And so the way we designed it, we architected the whole rack. The software is going to work perfectly across the whole rack. And then we provide the system components. Like, for example, the CPU and GPU compute board is then integrated into an MGX. It's a modular system architecture. MGX is completely ingenious. And we have MGX ODMs and integrators and OEMs all over the planet. And so just about, any configuration you would like, where you would like that 3,000-pound rack to be delivered, it's got to be close to, it has to be integrated and assembled close to the data center because it's fairly heavy. And so everything from the supply chain, from the moment that we ship the GPU, CPUs, the switches, the NICs, from that point forward, the integration is done quite close to the location of the CSPs and the locations of the data centers.
NVIDIA
and so you can imagine how many data centers in the world there are and how many logistics hubs we've scaled out to with our ODM partners. And so I think that because we show it as one rack and because it's always rendered that way and shown that way, we might have left the impression that we're doing the integration. Our customers hate that we do integration. The supply chain hates us doing integration. They want to do the integration. That's their value added. There's a final design in, if you will. It's not quite as simple as shimmy into a data center, but that design fit in is really complicated. And so the design fit in, the installation, the bring up, the repair and replace, that entire cycle is done all over the world. And we have a sprawling network of ODM and OEM partners that does this incredibly well. So integration is not the reason why we're doing racks. It's the anti-reason of doing it. The way we don't want to be an integrator, we want to be a technology provider.
And I will now turn the call back over to Jensen Huang for closing remarks.
Thank you. Let me make a couple of comments that I made earlier again. The data center worldwide are in full steam to modernize the entire computing stack with accelerated computing and generative AI. Hopper demand remains strong, and the anticipation for Blackwell is incredible. Let me highlight the top 5 things. The top 5 things of our company. Accelerated computing has reached a tipping point. CPU scaling slows. Developers must accelerate everything possible. Accelerated computing starts with CUDA-X libraries. New libraries open new markets for NVIDIA. We released many new libraries, including CUDA-accelerated Polars, Pandas, and Spark, the leading data science and data processing libraries. cuVS for vector databases. This is incredibly hot right now. Ariel and Shiona for 5G wireless base station. A whole world of data centers that we can go into now. Parabricks for gene sequencing, and AlphaFold 2 for protein structure prediction is now CUDA accelerated. We are at the beginning of our journey to modernize $1 trillion worth of data centers from general purpose computing to accelerated computing. That's number 1. Number 2, Blackwell is a step function leap over Hopper. Blackwell is an AI infrastructure platform, not just a GPU. Also happens to be the name of our GPU, but it's an AI infrastructure platform. As we reveal more of Blackwell and sample systems to our partners and customers, the extent of Blackwell's leap becomes clear. The Blackwell vision took nearly 5 years and 7 one-of-a-kind chips to realize. The Grace CPU, the Blackwell dual GPU in a CoWoS package, ConnectX DPU for east-west traffic, Bluefield DPU for north-south and storage traffic, NVLink switch for all-to-all GPU communications, and Quantum and Spectrum X for both InfiniBand and Ethernet can support the massive burst traffic of AI. Blackwell AI factories are building-sized computers. NVIDIA designed and optimized the Blackwell platform full stack, end-to-end, from chips, systems, networking, even structured cables, power and cooling, and mountains of software to make it fast for customers to build AI factories. These are very capital-intensive infrastructures. Customers want to deploy it as soon as they get their hands on the equipment and deliver the best performance and TCO. Blackwell provides 3 to 5 times more AI throughput in a power-limited data center than Hopper. The third is NVLink. This is a very big deal. With its all-to-all GPU switch is game-changing. The Blackwell system lets us connect 144 GPUs in 72 GB200 packages into one NVLink domain, with an aggregate NVLink bandwidth of 259 terabytes per second in one rack. Just put that in perspective, that's about 10 times higher than Hopper. 259 terabytes per second kind of makes sense because you need to boost the training of multi-trillion parameter models on trillions of tokens. And so that natural amount of data needs to be moved around from GPU to GPU. For inference, NVLink is vital for low latency, high throughput, large language model token generation. We now have 3 networking platforms: NVLink for GPU scale up, Quantum InfiniBand for supercomputing and dedicated AI factories, and Spectrum X for AI on Ethernet. NVIDIA's networking footprint is much bigger than before. Generative AI momentum is accelerating. Generative AI frontier model makers are racing to scale to the next AI plateau to increase model safety and IQ. We're also scaling to understand more modalities from text, images, and video to 3D, physics, chemistry, and biology. Chatbots, coding AIs, and image generators are growing fast, but it's just the tip of the iceberg. Internet services are deploying generative AI for large-scale recommenders, ad targeting, and search systems. AI startups are consuming tens of billions of dollars yearly of CSP's cloud capacity, and countries are recognizing the importance of AI and investing in sovereign AI infrastructure. And NVIDIA AI and NVIDIA Omniverse is opening up the next era of AI, general robotics. And now the enterprise AI wave has started, and we're poised to help companies transform their business.
It looks like there they just cut off the CEO. That was the end of the broadcast. I don't know if they meant to do that or not on Jensen, but that is that. That is the end of it. Just to give you guys a little recap on the technical analysis, as you guys can see here, if we back out on this and we show you on the daily, we are currently sitting right down here where this yellow line is, okay? That yellow line is below all moving averages. One thing I want to point out is this red line right here. Why is this red line so important? I've pointed this out once, but I just want to point it out one last time, folks. This is an area of what should be support here. Why is it support? Well, because it was resistance for multiple weeks. It was support for multiple months. It was resistance again for multiple weeks. And now I'm assuming for this to be support. This might be support. It might not be support. It might actually tear through this, but I'm willing to put a very small risk on this. As I did it back here, we made well over $300. Now that we're back down here and it was a gradual pullback, I'm willing to risk this low. We'll see what happens, but that is just what I am pointing out. Now, these aren't buy or sell recommendations. I'm just using technical analysis to take some trades here or to make some trades, but we'll see what happens here as in I am just break even. With the technical analysis set and with the earnings passed, we can look at the S&P 500 finally, and we can see we have pretty similar structure here, but the S&P 500 held up very, very well in comparison. With NVIDIA's earnings finally over, we are still just range bound for the S&P 500. Just above us at 565.16, we're just a rock throw away from new all-time highs in the S&P 500. And after now NVIDIA being finally through with their earnings, investors can finally wake up and start making trades again. So we'll see if some trades start to set up for us very, very soon. But I am glad the NVIDIA earnings are over. We ripped the Band-Aid off and we headed much, much lower. It closed today around 125.72, and we are currently trading 7.1% lower, or I'm sorry, 7.1% lower than where yesterday's trading was. So we'll see what happens by tomorrow morning, but I think today, really all in all, is a positive sign that the overall market just did not tank on NVIDIA's earnings, but of course, we will see tomorrow what happens. I love to see the S&P 500 trading sideways. I told you guys on Sunday, I think the best bet for the S&P 500 is for it to trade sideways in this area. So it is range bound in between this 554 and this all-time high of 565. So this $10 range, $10-ish range is a very good sign. It's allowing the moving averages to catch up. It's allowing investors to start accumulating shares. We'll see what happens in the very near future. I hope everybody enjoyed. If you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe. The last question was, do you think NVIDIA was the leader? Will it be the leader in the next 10 years for data processing and chips? 79% of you said yes. 79% of you said yes. That means it'll be here in the future, and a lot of times these polls come into fruition. So we'll go back in 10 more years while we're still doing the show. In 10 more years, we'll go back and we'll say, hey, you guys were right. The 14 of you that voted, you're right. I appreciate everybody being here. Make sure you hit that like and that subscribe. And if you don't know, you wait till the end and I will usher you out. I will give you a shout out. I will say goodbye to everybody. Thank you guys so much for listening. We will see you tomorrow. All right, I wanted to give a huge shout out to first Dan Bob Dan. Thank you so much, Dan Bob, for being here, moderating this channel, and taking very good care of us. Jimmy Bright, I appreciate you being here. Harvey Divvy, is that how you say it? HD, we'll call you, because that is your Discord. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for joining and hitting that subscribe button. We greatly appreciate it. I think you'll find our Discord very comforting. Hearts of gold, open minds. That's what we do. Mo Wealth, you know what? I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Great questions. What would you ask? What would you ask during this? That's a great question. It's a really thought-provoking question. What would I ask? Honestly, I had to give it some thought. But I definitely, I'm very intrigued with how they're going to keep up with their competitors. So very good question. Jolene, sweet Jolene. If you guys weren't aware of it, we did a nice little interview with a new trader, and that was Jolene yesterday. So if you haven't watched it, go back and watch that. That was yesterday's video. So let's see who else we got here. Predator, I know you're driving. Drive safe, brother. I hope you make it home safely. Thank you for stopping and listening. Spanky, if you're still here, good luck with your puts. Your cheeks are clenched, he said. Spanky said he sold a cash put at 116, and he said his cheeks are clenched. Best of luck to you, Spanky. Let's see who else we got. Beef Stewie, the beefiest of the stews, was with us today. And Beef Stewie, thank you, brother. I appreciate you. It's always good chatting with you. Vol Pew, he said, what do you think about ENPH? Well, we'd have to take another look at that, but it is solar, and we could take a little peeky gander tomorrow. But yeah, ENPH, trading sideways currently. Thule, thank you so much for smashing that like button. Marwa, I appreciate you being here, bringing up CrowdStrike. Kevo Plablan, I know your feet are kicked up somewhere in the sand. We'll see you very, very soon. Norman Conklin, thanks for swinging in. Smaid came in really quick with that beat of the estimate. He brought us the news before I could bring us the news. Thank you, Smaid. I appreciate you being here. Erica, I'm glad you swung in. If you're still here, thank you so much. And Jimmy Bright, if I missed you, Jimmy Bright, I haven't. Thank you. Appreciate you guys. I hope you guys have an awesome night, and we will see you very, very soon. Peace.